Today we are going to be covering Lesson 5, the opposite of a number's opposite. Our learning targets are, I can understand that the opposite of the opposite is the original number, and I can locate opposite numbers on a number line. Let's start by locating the number -2 on our number line. So we go from 0, and we go over 1, 2, and we plot our point. Now, what is the opposite of -2? Now, what is the opposite of -2? Well, we know that the opposite of a negative number is a positive number, so we're going to go from 0, and we're going to go to the right 2 spaces. So the opposite of -2 is +2. Now let's write an integer that represents each of the following. Our first scenario is 90 feet below sea level. Which integer will represent that scenario? Our integer is -90. Remember, we are looking for our keywords, and our keyword is below sea level. Now, we have $100 of debt. What integer will represent that scenario? The integer is -100. Our keyword is debt, and if you have a debt, that means you are owing money, so it is a negative number. And our last scenario is 2 degrees Celsius above 0. Our integer is 2. It is a positive number because our keyword is above 0. Let's look at this next scenario. Joe is at the ice cream shop, and his house is 10 blocks north of the shop. The park is 10 blocks south of the ice cream shop. When he is at the ice cream shop, is Joe closer to the park or his house? How could the number 0 be used in this situation? Okay, let's start by drawing the ice cream shop. So our ice cream shop is somewhere in the middle. So here's our little ice cream. And we know that his house is 10 blocks north because our scenario told us. So we are going to draw a line going from the ice cream cone straight up to Joe's house. Next, it says that the park is 10 blocks south. So from our ice cream cone, we're going to draw a line going down to the park. Now our question is, when he is at the ice cream shop, is Joe closer to the park or his house? Well, we know that the ice cream shop is 10 blocks from his house, and the ice cream shop is 10 blocks from the park. Therefore, the ice cream shop is the same distance from both the house and the park. So how could the number 0 be used in this situation? The number 0 can be related to the ice cream cone, meaning that the ice cream cone is 0. Let's continue. What number is 8 units to the right of 0? The answer, 8. How can you illustrate locating the opposite of 8 on a number line? Alright, so let's find the opposite of 8 on a number line. So we know that 8 is a positive number, so then the opposite has to be a negative number. So it is still going to be 8 units to the left of 0 because it is a negative number. So what is the opposite of 8? -8. What is the opposite of -8? Well, if the opposite of a negative number is positive, then the opposite of -8 has to be 8. Let's plot that on our number line. So the opposite of a number is the original number. Let's practice. The opposite of negative 10 is, so we know that the opposite of negative 10 would be equal to positive 10. So the opposite of positive 10 would be negative 10. So the opposite of negative 10 is negative 10. The opposite of a number is the original number. How about 0? What is the opposite of 0? Well, in the previous lesson, we talked about how 0 is its own opposite. So the opposite of 0 is still 0. Now, go try the problem set.